Good morning. We are continuing on with our inequality statements, and we're adding in another step for it. And this is new for us, okay? So we really have to pay attention to the notes that we're taking, and we're gonna really want to put this on our help sheet when it comes time for the test, and you'll see why. So today we are doing CO45. I can use a number line to identify solutions in an inequality statement. So the biggest difference, and the one that affects your solution between inequalities and equations, is that because an inequality describes a range of solutions. Any number that's less than this. So there's a range of numbers. That's the solution, not just one. Not n equals 4, and it's just 4. You have a range, n is less than 4. So we need to show all the values within that range. How might we do that with the following inequality statements? So if we have n is greater than 8, we have to be able to show that on our number line. Okay, so we're going to be working with number line, and we're going to be doing 3 key steps to be able to show the range. So we have an open, let me push this up just a little bit. We have an open circle and a closed circle. Open circle means it's not equal. Can't be the number. So my example, n is less than 4. It can't be 4, right? Can't be equal to 4. So less than or greater than would be open circles. It cannot be that number. Closed circle means equal. It can be the number. So that would be our less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. This is huge. Every year I have friends that accidentally flip, and they put a closed circle for the less than or equal to. We have to remember it's open. It cannot be it. It's just less than or greater than, open circle. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, that's a closed circle. So that's your first step. Well, actually, no. Our first step, when we're going to show our range, first step is to draw a simple number line. So we don't have to put all the numbers on the number line. What do you think is the key number that we would want to put on the number line for n is greater than 8? What do you think is the key number that we would put on a number line? Would I put 25 on it? Does that have anything to do with that inequality statement? What number should I put on the number line? Gigi. Yeah, 8. Right? So I'm going to draw my number line, and I'm going to put an 8 on it. So your first step is to draw the number line. You just have to put that one number on it. Second step, I need to decide, is it an open circle or a closed circle? So n is greater than 8. Would I do open or closed? Matt? Open, because there's no equal to. It cannot be 8. It has to be a number greater than 8. So right above that 8, I'm going to put an open circle. Third step is I have to draw an arrow, because I have to show all the numbers that it can be. So if n is greater than 8, what direction am I going to want my arrow to go? Would I want it to go down to 7, 6, 5, 4? Or would I want it to go up to 9, 10, 11, 12? Which way should I draw my arrow? To the left or to the right, Mallory? Yeah, we want it to go up. We want it to go to the higher numbers. So we're going to draw to the right. So 3 steps when we're showing that range of solutions. You draw your number line, you draw your circle, either open or closed, and then you draw your arrow. The arrow is showing us which numbers it can be. Fun little trick. If we start with our variable, and then we have our inequality symbol, look at which direction greater than is pointing to. Look at my arrow. They match. Okay, so if you start with the variable, n is greater than 8, greater than is pointing to the right, my arrow is pointing to the right, all those numbers bigger than 8. It doesn't work if it's flipped and we said 8 is less than n. Then we can't do it. So if you start with the number, that trick doesn't work. It only works if we start with the variable. And in Math 6, we keep it simple. We start with the variable. When you get into upper classes, it gets trickier and more challenging. But for Math 6, we can go with the trick. Start with the variable. Whatever direction your symbol is pointing, it's the direction your arrow points. Let's look at our next one. N is greater than or equal to 12. What is my first step? What should I do? First step. Oh, how many of us can be brave and say, oh, I'm looking at what we did for n is greater than 8. What's the first thing we did there? What's the first thing we should do with n is greater than or equal to 12? Presley, draw our number line. Our number is 12, so I'm going to put 12 on my number line. Second step. What do I have to do? Look back at our first example. What was the second thing we did? What do I have to do? Oh goodness, I have a lot of us not being brave. Let's be brave. Moses. Yeah, we have to put our circle. And Moses already determined it's a closed circle because it includes 12. It is equal to 12 or bigger than 12. What's my third step? Chandrea, draw the arrow. So I've got the number line, I've got my circle. Now I need the arrow. Which range of numbers does it include? So if it is greater than or equal to 12, what direction is my arrow going to go, Chandrea? To the right, because it's all those numbers that are bigger than 12. N is greater than or equal to 12, so I'm drawing my arrow over all those numbers bigger than 12. It doesn't stop, there's no ending point, so my arrow just keeps going. Any number bigger than 12. And again, if we look at our little trick, greater than points to the right, our arrow points to the right. How are we feeling about that? Okay, so we have to remember there are 3 steps when we graph, we show that range, we graph our range of solutions. So, we look up here, remember there are 3 steps, so you can write the 3 steps to remind yourself. So first step is number line. Second step is the circle. Third step is the arrow. All right, we've got our 3 steps. So, first step, number line. Look at n is less than 85. What's my first step? Vinny? Number line. So I've got an 85 there, I'm going to draw an 85. What's my second step? Rhoda?
Put 85 on the sorry, make a circle.
I need a circle, so I have to determine, is it an open circle or a closed circle? What would it be, Leo? Open, because it can't be 85. It has to be less than 85, so it's an open circle. I only close it in if it's equal to that number. Third step. Joy, which way should I put my arrow if it is less than? To the left or to the right? To the left, because we want numbers smaller than 85. Less than 85, again, taking a peek at the direction of our inequality symbol, it's the same direction as our arrow. Any questions? You need to do all 3 steps for each of these inequalities that are on there. You need to graph on that number line. And then on the bottom, it says, write each situation as an inequality statement, then graph it. So these are just like the word problems we had in yesterday's objective. You put an inequality statement for it. So you're going to look for that verbal phrase. So you're going to have n is whatever inequality to our number. So look for those verbal phrases. So if it's at least, what inequality symbol would that be for at least? Look back at your table of inequality verbal phrases. What does at least mean? Did you? Yep, so yeah, greater than or equal to. And then you put your number. That's the first step, is you do your inequality statement. Now, we can do what we were doing up above, and we can graph it on the number line. So you have to draw your number line, you have to do your circle, you have to do your arrow, right? So first step is actually doing the inequality statement like we did in the last objective. Then you get to take that inequality statement that you wrote and turn it into that graph on the number line. Any questions? Okay, so we have just a couple minutes before we have to switch for art and homework time, but you will be coming back to me for work time. So we had enough time to get the lesson in, and we will have work time after art and homeroom time when we come back together. If you are watching this at home, I hope you are well, and I hope to see you soon. Don't forget, Khan Academy is due tomorrow, so if you get done with your work, you're going to work on Khan Academy or work on packet number 7. I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.